home was filled with strange happenings, but Nkem felt a peace she hadn't known before. She had faced the goddess, given all she held dear, and returned unscathed. She knew her journey had only begun, but a quiet assurance filled her soul as she walked back to Ikpesa under the protective watch of the stars. The path through the forbidden forest seemed endless, each shadow darker than the last, and Nkem could barely see a few steps ahead. Branches twisted and stretched above her, blocking the moonlight, and an eerie silence settled around her, broken only by distant howls and strange voices that seemed to echo from the trees themselves. Her heart pounded, but she pushed on, her mind set on her purpose, even as the path grew more treacherous. A thick, chilling fog soon enveloped her, and with each step she stumbled, unable to see her own hands in front of her. As she moved, images began to appear in the mist, visions that felt both hauntingly real and impossibly distant. She saw herself surrounded by children, her laughter filling the air as small hands reached up to her, their innocent faces beaming. But the vision quickly shifted, replaced by darkness, an empty void where nothing grew, and a piercing wail that echoed in the silence. She realized that the forest itself was testing her, tempting her with dreams and fears alike, weighing the strength of her resolve. With each step, her path grew more uncertain. Just when she thought she could go no further, a shadow appeared before her, growing larger until it blocked her way entirely. It was a towering figure, shrouded in mist and draped in dark, tattered robes, with eyes that glowed like embers. This was no ordinary spirit. It was a guardian of the forest, fierce and unyielding, its presence a warning that she had trespassed where the living were not welcome. Nkem's knees trembled as she faced the spirit, but she held her ground, remembering why she had come. The spirit loomed closer, its long clawed hand reaching toward her. Panic surged through her, but then she recalled the words Omenka had left her with. A mother fights for her child even before they arrive. She clenched her hands around the blanket she had brought, the woven cloth that held her dreams of motherhood. In that moment, a deep courage welled up inside her, a strength she hadn't known she possessed. She lifted the blanket high as though it were a shield and began to sing an ancient lullaby her mother had taught her as a child. The melody was soft, gentle, but filled with a resolve that cut through the forest's silence. Her voice quivered at first but grew stronger, resonating through the mist. The spirit paused, its fierce eyes softening as the lullaby filled the air. It hovered, almost swaying, as though the melody held it in a trance. The sharp, menacing aura that surrounded it slowly faded, and for a brief moment, Nkem could have sworn she saw a look of peace cross its face. With a low sigh, the spirit receded, dissolving into the mist, leaving her path clear once again. Nkem breathed a sigh of relief, clutching the blanket close to her chest. She had conquered her fear, facing down a force that could have easily claimed her. But she knew this was only one trial of many. The journey to the shrine of Aji was far from over, and each step would likely test her resolve in ways she could not yet imagine. Steeling herself, she moved forward, her heart filled with a new sense of courage and determination. She had faced the guardian spirit and overcome it, but she knew the path ahead would only grow darker and more challenging. With her faith as her guide and the image of her future children lighting her way, Nkem walked on, braving the depths of the forbidden forest in pursuit of her destiny. When Nkem finally returned to Ikpesa, weary from her ordeal in the forest, she expected to find relief and understanding, but instead, a tense silence met her at every corner. Whispers followed her, as villagers watched her with narrowed eyes, some crossing themselves as if warding off an evil spirit. She soon learned why. Amara, her long-standing rival, had spread rumors claiming that Nkem had entered the forbidden forest to consort with dark forces. In the days following, the whispers grew into open accusations. "She's brought a curse upon us," some cried. Mothers held their children back, and the village elders spoke in hushed tones of the curse she had invoked. Nkem's heart ached, and with each step through the village, the weight of their scorn grew heavier. Yet she remained silent, knowing that no words could convince those determined to believe the worst of her. The gossip soon reached Obi's family. Pressured by his relatives, he found himself caught in a storm of expectations. His family demanded that he distance himself from Nkem, insisting that she was cursed and would only bring ruin to their name. Though torn between loyalty to his wife and the harsh judgment of his family and community, Obi found himself wavering. The accusations weighed on him, and for the first time, he felt the pressure to abandon the woman he had once loved fiercely. Seeing his torment, Uzochi took Obi aside one night, away from prying ears. In the dim light of the healer's shrine, Uzochi's gaze was grave but filled with compassion as he spoke, revealing the truth Nkem had kept secret. She braved the cursed path not for herself, but for your family, to break a curse older than her own dreams of motherhood. He spoke of the trials she had faced, the sacrifice she had made, and the fierce love she held in her heart. Obi's heart was torn anew. A surge of guilt washed over him, realizing the depth of Nkem's sacrifice. He understood now that she had ventured into the forest not for dark intentions, but to break the ancestral curse that had shadowed his family. Filled with renewed appreciation for her, he knew he had to support her, no matter the scorn they faced. The first signs of Nkem's pregnancy appeared subtly as whispers of change found their way into her life. At first, she kept the news close to her heart, savoring the quiet joy and disbelief that washed over her with each passing day. Yet, soon enough, the changes became undeniable. When she finally shared her news, the reaction was one of stunned silence that quickly turned into a cacophony of gasps and exclamations throughout the village. Many were astonished. Some of her rivals struggled to believe it, and others, like Amara, looked on in thinly veiled envy. Amara sneered, spreading suspicions among her followers, claiming, "It must be dark forces. No woman barren for years suddenly bears a child without witchcraft." But her words, once powerful, seemed hollow now. For Nkem had won the respect of the villagers, who had seen her silent sacrifices and quiet strength. Her bravery had shone through the darkness, and her journey had touched hearts in ways even she hadn't realized. As her belly grew, so did the respect and love she received from Obi. The man who had once been torn between the love for his wife and the scorn of his family now stood by her side, unwavering. Obi marveled at her resilience, her quiet determination that had brought them both through the storm. In moments of quiet, he would hold her hand, and together they would sit in awe of the life growing within her, united by the trials they had endured. Months passed, and as her time approached, the village gathered in eager anticipation. The women prepared delicacies, and the men offered prayers of protection, their voices filling the evening air. The night Nkem went into labor, the village was alive with an electric energy, each person keenly aware that a miracle was about to take place. When her cries of labor filled the air, the women gathered around her, offering their support. It was a night of tension and prayer, and finally, just as dawn broke, the first cry of a newborn pierced the quiet. Then, moments later, a second cry followed. The village erupted in celebration, and word spread that Nkem had given birth to twins, a symbol of blessing and abundance. The village poured out to welcome the new life, chanting and dancing in jubilation. They sang praises to the goddess Aye, offering gifts of yams and kola nuts, expressing gratitude for the miracle they had witnessed. Yet Nkem alone knew the true depths of her journey, the sacrifices, the trials, and the moments of despair that had shaped her path to this moment. Amidst the joy, Nkem cradled her children, tears of gratitude filling her eyes. She knew that they were not only the fruits of her journey, but also the bearers of a legacy born of love, resilience, and unwavering faith. In that moment, Nkem understood fully that the joy of motherhood was not just in the holding of her children, but in every step that had led her there, every sacrifice she had made. As the celebration continued, Nkem looked up at the morning sun, feeling the warmth of a new dawn upon her. The village's hearts had changed. Their eyes opened to the power of love, sacrifice, and courage. And for Nkem, this was the true joy of motherhood, a journey that had transformed not just her, but the lives of those around her, binding them all in the threads of her indomitable spirit. The story teaches that true strength and love often require immense sacrifice, resilience, and faith.